We're going to begin our show with the Trump administration's mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, which continues to ramp up by the day. On Monday, ICE says it arrested nearly 1,200 people across the country. Many of those are what are being called collateral arrests, people detained who do not have a criminal record. A senior Trump administration official told NBC News that nearly half of arrests so far have been collateral.
The surge in raids is taking an emotional toll on the families of those who are detained. This woman from the Chicagoland area says that her Mexican immigrant father was arrested, even though he has been a legal permanent U.S. resident for more than a decade. She said her father had a battery-related charge in the past, but was working with attorneys to try to clear his name.
He just told me they took your dad. I was like, what? I didn't think it was true. I was not trying to believe it. I was just talking, you're joking, right? It's not a joke. They actually came and took my dad. He doesn't deserve to go through this at all.
NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now with the latest. So, Julia, clearly ICE officials showing no signs of easing up on these raids and these arrests. Why are we seeing such a large proportion of these collateral arrests of people with no criminal records? What's ICE saying about that?
This was always the push-pull, Joe. Of course, the Trump administration knew they would get the most political bang for their buck if they went after the worst of the worst criminals, and they would keep telling the media about the kidnappers or the child molesters or the people wanted for murder that they had arrested. But of course, they also want to get those numbers really high because they're looking at cities like Chicago, where more than 50,000 immigrants came in during the course of just about 2 years, and they want to be able to get those numbers high too. So what happens is they might go in to arrest a criminal and arrest everyone in that vicinity. They also might, now we know they're doing workplace raids, which means casting a wide net to be able to report very high numbers. When you want to get 1,200 in a day, it's hard to make all of those criminals. I've been on those operations where they arrest criminals. It takes about 10 people to arrest one person. When you're looking at a workplace raid or going after any area where you're just going to get sheer numbers, the ratio of agents to immigrants gets far lower because they're not considered as high risk, and you're basically just going after geographic areas rather than individual people. That's where these collateral arrests get made, Joe.
Julia, we have also been following the situation at the Mexican border. U.S. troops have been deployed there. What's the latest?
Yeah, Savannah, we know that there were 1,500 deployed. They started arriving last week, and we do expect that number to rise. Now, so far, it looks like these troops are not going to violate the Constitution by actually arresting immigrants, but they're walking right up to that line. They're going to be able to provide space. They could be building detention camps on U.S. military bases. They could be transporting migrants, as we've already seen on military planes. And we also know that they're going to be used to try to build barriers to keep immigrants from even approaching the border to claim asylum. This is all part of a huge asylum crackdown that began last week, something that actually we've shifted our focus more to these arrests. But what's happening at the southern border is perhaps more dramatic because it's a complete shutdown of asylum, of the right to international right to claim asylum at the southern border, Savannah.
So, Julia, one of the biggest concerns surrounding these immigration raids and deportations is that sensitive locations like places of worship and schools could be targeted. Well, now we understand a group of Quaker organizations is suing the Department of Homeland Security for rescinding a policy that initially prevented those places from being targets. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right. This is coming from a Quaker group who says that they don't want ICE to be able to come into their houses of worship that have historically always been very apolitical and sanctuaries, in the literal sense, a safe place. This is something that ICE rescinded in the early days of this new administration to say that they can go into places like churches and hospitals and schools. And we have this lawsuit, the first of its kind on this particular policy, but you can also see the ripple effects of the rescinding of that memo across America right now. There are corporations, there are healthcare facilities, there are school systems, all having emergency meetings about what to do if ICE comes knocking at their door. That policy rescission has had one of the biggest impacts just in terms of causing fear across the U.S. So far, we have not seen ICE agents go into hospitals or schools. Of course, we've seen them at workplaces, but that's something we have to keep an eye on because so far, ICE says, look, nothing's off limits here.
We know you're keeping an eye on everything. Julia, thank you so much.
Well, away from immigration, President Trump is also attempting to take wide-ranging action on the flow of federal aid.
Overnight, the White House ordered a freeze on all federal financial assistance. That includes grants and loans starting 5 p.m. today. Now, that's according to a memo by the Office of Management and Budget that was seen by NBC News.
NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now on this. Aaron, good morning. So what more are we learning about this freeze on federal aid, what it impacts? I imagine it's getting some pushback from Capitol Hill. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it might be easier, guys, to tell you what it doesn't impact. We know from this letter from the budget director that programs, Medicare programs, Social Security disbursements, money that's sent directly to individuals from the federal government would not be impacted here. But according to this letter, things that are like financial assistance to for foreign aid, for non-government organizations, nonprofits, DEI efforts, what the letter refers to as woke gender ideology and the Green New Deal, those sorts of programs would be impacted by this freeze or pause in the flow of federal dollars into these programs. Effectively, it seems like any program where the money comes from the federal government through a nonprofit organization, through a state, through a local agency, those funds would be frozen in this effort. So we're thinking potentially housing programs or food assistance programs or any other sort of federal aid programs would all be subject to this freeze, it would seem at this point. The administration says, again, through this letter, that this pause is really designed to give the administration an opportunity to review these programs to see whether federal funding is being used in a way that is consistent with the new president's priorities. And as you noted, Savannah, of course, there has been pushback already. We heard from Chuck Schumer, the senator from New York, the Senate Minority Leader, and as well as other Democrats in Congress on the appropriations committees who say that this is an affront, an undermining of Congress's authority to decide how money is spent in this country. Congress does have the power of the purse strings, and these members of Congress are saying that the administration is in violation of that.
Aaron, another headline, the president is purging the Justice Department of officials who worked on criminal investigations into his conduct. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, specifically, we're talking about the investigation that Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, led into the classified documents at the president's residence in Florida, the investigation into his efforts to overturn the 2020 election as well. There were career prosecutors and investigators who were a part of that effort, people who have been at the Department of Justice and the FBI potentially for many, many years. And our understanding is that the effort has been made to make sure that those people who worked on the investigation are fired. There are 5 former DOJ and FBI officials who told our team that this is really an effort to intimidate Justice Department and FBI officials, those who remain, to say that there should not be further investigations into this second Trump administration. We know that we heard President Trump talk throughout the campaign about a weaponization of government and wanting to eliminate the potential for that. And this seems to be in line, guys, with that effort. However, there is some thinking from some officials and legal watchers who say that this is really an effort to silence folks who would be inclined to follow the rule of law as opposed to just getting in line behind the president.
Hey, Aaron, yesterday also, by the way, was Pete Hegseth's first day on the job, Secretary of Defense. I know President Trump also signed some controversial executive orders involving the military. What have you learned?
There were 4 different executive orders that were signed by the president late last night, as we understand it, as he was flying back to Washington from Florida. And one of these orders reinstates military service members who were kicked out of the military for not receiving the COVID vaccine. That was mandated by the Department of Defense several years ago. And all those people will be allowed to come back into the military. They'll receive back pay and benefits for the time that they were out. There's also an executive order that mandates the development of an Iron Dome missile defense system for the United States. Again, something that President Trump talked about on the campaign trail. One of the other orders really seems to target transgender people in the U.S. military. It doesn't immediately kick them out, but it certainly starts to create a framework and requires the implementation of a policy that would make it very difficult for transgender people to continue serving in the armed forces. And the other executive order, I believe, was one that eliminated DEI programs, as has been done across the rest of the federal government through executive order. Joe and Savannah.
All right, Aaron, thanks for your reporting this morning.
A new Chinese artificial intelligence tool is raising concerns from Silicon Valley to Wall Street this morning. It's called DeepSeek, and yesterday it became the most downloaded free app in the U.S. on Apple's App Store. Its most recent chatbot model was released just last week.
DeepSeek's AI assistant functions very similar to American-made ChatGPT. Look at your screen here in this side-by-side video. The two platforms even look the same. You might be familiar with ChatGPT. But after it triggered a major tech stock sell-off yesterday, China's new tool has some U.S. lawmakers and investors questioning America's spot as the global AI leader.
NBC News personal technology analyst Joanna Stern joins us now with more on this. She's also a senior personal technology columnist for the Wall Street Journal. Always good to have you with us, Joanna. I mean, for those who might be hearing about DeepSeek for the first time, which I think is most folks, walk us through what it is and what it does.
Well, you guys did a good job before explaining it. It really is like a ChatGPT competitor, a competitor to all of these new large language model chatbots. And that's why people are downloading it. Sure, they want to see what the competitor is. But really, the big thing here is that this is out of China. And last week, DeepSeek released its new model, R1. And many in Silicon Valley were blown away by this model. And they also released one in December. And so this company has been growing and growing and growing, some real mind share in Silicon Valley because of how good this model is. And it isn't just that it's good, it's that the company says, this Chinese company says, that they have used a lot less money to train and create this model than the US companies are. And that's why we saw the freak out yesterday on Wall Street.
Yeah, Joanna, dive into that a little bit more. Like companies like OpenAI with ChatGPT or Google with Gemini, exactly what they've been spending in terms of the tech itself, the housing of data, the space that's needed to use like just the computing power, and also just like what they're paying people and how many people they're recruiting versus what we know DeepSeek did and why that's so scary to these companies.
Look, we don't have all the numbers, but what we do know is that the U.S. companies have been spending tens of billions of dollars on creating, training, inference. There's lots of technical terms of how these models are made. What DeepSeek has said is they have created their models just with $5 million. And again, lots of good reporting, lots of people in the tech industry talking about, well, okay, DeepSeek didn't do this level of work on that model. They were also building off, it is believed they were building off of US models, open source models. So they didn't have to do all the work. But of course, this has put the big pressure on the US companies, Microsoft, Meta, OpenAI, Google, for why are you guys spending all this money on all these big chips and data centers when look what China's doing more efficiently.
You mentioned DeepSeek is a Chinese-based company. Is it like TikTok in that it could spark similar concerns over issues like national security or censorship? What should people know before they download it to their phones?
Yeah, so this gets a little complicated because DeepSeek is using an open source model, and that means that it's open source. Other people can go and get it. They can start running it, and they can start playing with it. Obviously, TikTok, very different. It's its own app. You're seeing people download that DeepSeek app in the App Store, but there are other ways to get it. So if they were to ban that DeepSeek app, there would be lots of other ways to get to the DeepSeek model. So it's not as simple as banning. And as Savannah knows, it's really not as simple as banning because we don't actually have a ban right now on TikTok. I would say on censorship, yes, you can go and test DeepSeek right now. It will not talk about certain restricted Chinese topics, Tiananmen Square, other types of things. But overall, what you're getting right now is the ability to test this app in the DeepSeek app. And there's probably no harm to doing that if you're not giving a lot of personal information.
Yeah, it's certainly concerning seeing some of the censorship stuff as it becomes the #1 app here in the U.S. Joanna, while it was causing some panic in the U.S. tech market yesterday, DeepSeek was also the target of a major cyber attack. Another big headline here, it forced the app actually to temporarily limit new signups. What does that mean for people who have it?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have many details. DeepSeek as a company has not been talking very openly about what's going on there. But yes, we saw signups there limited. I believe even if you go to the site this morning, they're limited signups. So hopefully we will learn a little bit more about what might have been breached, what kind of data. But given the virality of this app and the popularity around the world, it's not surprising that they were being targeted.
Yeah. All right. Joanna Stern, thank you so much.
Let's stay on this with Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver, and look at how this was shaking up the markets, as we've mentioned a couple of times. Caleb, good morning. Really something. I mean, we just saw this nosedive in the market. Several tech stocks had their worst day since 2020. Why did the markets react so drastically to this app?
This is a seismic shift. Joanna alluded to it. The fact that this company could produce an AI model that is equivalent or even better than OpenAI or ChatGPT because it uses articulated reasoning at a cheaper cost, that calls into question all the money that these big companies have been spending with companies like NVIDIA. NVIDIA is one of the biggest companies in the stock market. It was the biggest until yesterday. It had the biggest market value drop in history, over $600 billion wipe off of that stock alone. That calls into question how much money the Microsofts, Apples, Metas of the world have been spending with NVIDIA on these high-powered chips because AI and owning AI is the end game. And they thought if you just kept building bigger and better server centers and bigger chips, it would come to them eventually.
Good explainer for folks who were asking, I know me yesterday, what's going on here? I don't fully understand this. The Trump administration obviously paying close attention to this. AI investments, huge priority for them. How is the president and his administration reacting to what we're seeing with DeepSeek, this news, but also just what happened on Wall Street? Yeah,
the president saying yesterday, this is actually a good development. This could potentially making the technology even cheaper. But when you look at where all the money has gone in the stock market over the past few years, it has gone to AI-related companies. It has gone to the big companies building their big AI infrastructure, spending a lot of money to do it. Joanna was talking about how much they spent. They spent $236 billion on CapEx last year. About half of that went to AI-related development. So if the technology is getting cheaper and can be made cheaper out of China and used open source and that anybody can develop it, that calls into question how much they've spent and whether or not we're going to get a return on that investment. If you don't think you own NVIDIA, it's probably one of the biggest stocks in your S&P 500 index fund. In a lot of the ETFs you own, it's one of the most popular stocks in the world.
It was interesting to hear the president make those comments when just less than a week ago, one of his first big accomplishments and something that the White House was touting was this huge initiative called Stargate, where they're spending billions. Once again, this kind of partnership with OpenAI, SoftBank, these companies coming together to, again, make these massive facilities. But if we're seeing this happen out of China, I mean, does that mean maybe that we've overvalued some of this in the U.S.? I mean, is this a bubble?
A lot of people have been saying that because some of these stocks, including NVIDIA and other ones in the AI space, have risen astronomically over the past few years. They've driven the stock market higher because they're such big stocks. Stock market is a weighted index, so that's part of the reason. But also the fact that this technology is now out there. Anybody can use it if they want through open source. That calls that into question as well. And you mentioned the Stargate investment last week, $500 billion pledged to develop AI server centers, to develop warehouses for the data, but also the energy companies that power these server centers. Those got sold off as well yesterday. So the whole ecosystem was disrupted heavily, and this is just the beginning. We're going to hear a lot more about developments like DeepSeek over the next few years. Yeah. This is the end game.
An absolutely massive site in a small Texas town, one of 5 to be built with that $500 billion, and you get news like this. That's Caleb Silver, thank you very much.
There are growing concerns in Southern California over how long it could take to rebuild following this month's deadly wildfires. More than 15,000 homes and businesses were destroyed. Some officials estimate just clearing out the debris could take more than a year. That's before they can even start to rebuild. NBC's Liz Croyd spoke to some residents who say they are frustrated by the slow pace.
As the shock of the Los Angeles fires wears off, for many, the daunting reality is settling in.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. And with that, mounting frustrations about the cleanup after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers recently told residents it could take 18 months just to clear the debris before owners even begin to rebuild. That timeline leaving many families in limbo.
It's not feasible. How are people going to live in that timeline? How do people's loss of use cover them when they're still paying their mortgages, when they're now paying rents on top of it?
The governor says he's cutting the red tape, announcing an executive order waiving permits for the California Coastal Commission. Still, questions remain about the rebuilding timeline, the source of a tense exchange between President Trump and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass during the president's visit to the Palisades burn area Friday.
They want to go to work and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe.
The mayor vowing to speed up the process.
You have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked, I mean, you have a very powerful emergency.
And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
But officials still saying it can take up to 10 days to clean out a single property with more than 15,000 destroyed.
Everybody's desperate to get back onto their property.
Palisades Community Council president hopes public pressure will speed up the process.
If they make us jump through the hoops that we normally have to jump through to build a house, it's going to take a long time. And there's too many houses that need to be built.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Let's check on things outdoors. It looks like snow squalls will be making their way through the Northeast. Let's get a closer look with your Morning News Now weather.
Angie Lastman has the squall forecast. Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. We do have some of those alerts up, of course, because we are going to be tracking a bit of snow, not just today, but into tomorrow, too. So here's what we've got right now. A couple pockets of snow. You can see some of these snow squall warnings that are up again for parts of Pennsylvania as well as New York. We've got winter storm watches downwind of the lakes and a couple of winter weather advisories as we gear up for some additional snow through the day today and into tomorrow, too, for some spots. Here's where the snow is currently set up, right in those locations across New York and Pennsylvania, stretching up into parts of the interior New England as well. But as we get into tomorrow, we'll see this kind of clipper system shift a bit more of that snow into our area. Now, either way, the squalls are going to be a little dangerous when it comes to travel. On the roadways, take it slow. You're going to want a little extra time. That'll help you out here as we get through the first half of today. And then you can see some of that snow working in for the second half of the day and into tomorrow across the Northeast. Notice we'll see most of that heavy kind of snow setting up downwind of the lake. So that's exactly where we're expecting the highest snowfall totals for folks. Maybe an inch or so, or maybe 2 inches for Boston to Portland. But otherwise, you can see 6 to 8 inches in some of the highest spots. Those localized amounts closer to the lakes, of course, in parts of western New York and Pennsylvania. Now, that's what we're going to be watching here through the day today and tomorrow across that region. Meanwhile, the middle of the country, you're way warm. This is a big difference from what we dealt with last week at this time, with that roller coaster ride of temperatures continuing over the next couple of days. So we've got 40s for Green Bay today. Minneapolis running nearly 20 degrees above normal. We've got Sioux Falls into the low 50s, along with Des Moines. Kansas City hits 50 degrees today. Indianapolis into the mid 40s. As we look a little farther to the east for tomorrow, you get in on some of that action. So 60s for Richmond and Charlotte and Atlanta. Notice New York, 46 degrees, still above normal for this time of year. You should be into those low 40s for folks there. Instead, we'll be a touch warmer. That goes for places like Memphis and Springfield, hang out into the upper 50s to low 60s. As we get into the end of the week, though, and into the weekend, we've got a little bit of kind of a cooler trend setting up. So Cleveland, you're into the upper 30s to low 40s for Thursday and Friday. But look what happens by the time Saturday rolls around. A lot chillier into the low 30s. We'll see 34 degrees for the high on Saturday in Milwaukee, 40s for Lexington. We see temperatures into those low 60s for Raleigh, and then even New York City will kind of be in that range of the mid 30s to the low to mid 40s by the time we get through the weekend and into the next week. Meanwhile, we've got another storm system that we're going to watch redevelop basically over Texas. This gives us the chance for some heavy rain. We'll even see a couple of chances for some severe weather. Tomorrow, marginal risk. Wind gusts are going to be the most likely issues for us. The good news is that tornado threat is low, but we will see the potential for some really high rainfall rates, specifically into the evening and overnight hours that give us that flash flood risk. So heads up for folks from Oklahoma to Texas into Arkansas. We'll see that band of heavy rain moving into the Mississippi Valley here, though, by Thursday. And you guessed it, more of that severe weather is possible. We will have a slight risk that day, though. So Houston to Alexandria has the potential to see some of those stronger storms, guys, and it will include hail and potentially winds and a couple of tornadoes.
Not snow, though.
Not snow for folks there.
There you go. They had that last week.
We know what happened last week.
Yeah. Thanks, Angie.
You got it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.